Welcome to Metaphor Journaling through Narrative Therapy. The purpose of this session is to explore the difference between narrative therapy and traditional journaling. Learn how metaphors can be developed as tools for reflection. Discover how journaling can move beyond recording events to reimagining stories with agency and restoration. Together, we will look at ways to transform journaling into a practice of clarity, creativity, and growth, where metaphors give shape, color, and voice to the experiences that may otherwise feel hidden or heavy. I am Joanne Saunders, author of Ink and Insight, Writing a Life That Matters, and a narrative therapy educator. My journey with metaphor began after the sudden loss of my husband. In the aftermath, I was diagnosed with chronic PTSD and depression. I experienced intrusive panic attacks that woke me in the night and even stress-induced cardiomyopathy, what is often called broken heart syndrome. Through writing with metaphors, I discovered a way to change my inner voice, from harsh and critical to compassionate and supportive. Metaphor gave me the ability to reframe challenges, to separate the problem from myself, and to see a path toward workable solutions. Narrative therapy, through metaphor, creates space for agency. It allows us to reflect on resilience, to restore perspective, and to find inspiration to keep moving forward. What I've learned is this: my voice matters. From my own journal entries, I now design metaphor-centered narrative therapy worksheets that invite reflection, agency, and growth. This presentation will give you a starting point for creating your own personal reflections, tools that can help you explore your story, honor your resilience, and write a life that matters. Let's take a closer look at narrative therapy and how it differs from traditional journaling. Michael White and David Epstein are recognized as the founders of narrative therapy. While the practice of storytelling as healing has deep roots documented for centuries in Native American culture, in the 1980s, White and Epstein introduced a powerful idea. You are not the problem. The problem is the problem. This perspective helps clients reframe and externalize issues rather than internalize them. More recently, Dr. John Dibben's 2024 work highlights how narrative therapy empowers people to separate themselves from their struggles, giving them the chance to reauthor their stories in ways that foster agency and resilience. As narrative therapy teaches us the problem is the problem, not the person, this shift gave me the freedom to reframe my own struggles, to see them as challenges I could work with rather than as definitions of who I am. Let's break this down in a simple way. Traditional journaling often focuses on recording thoughts and feelings as they are. It's descriptive, literal, and valuable for emotional release. Narrative therapy, however, shifts the focus towards identity and agency. Its purpose isn't to solve the problem directly, but to create a clearer perspective from which solutions can emerge. Through metaphors and storytelling, narrative therapy transforms intangible feelings into something tangible. This process brings clarity, helping us focus more effectively on the issue at hand. Rather than stopping at emotional release, narrative therapy encourages reframing. How can I look at this situation differently? And while journaling is usually private, narrative therapy can be shared. It works in groups, in collaborative work environments, in therapy sessions, workshops, and of course, individually. Why metaphors? Metaphors are one of the key components of narrative therapy. They create distance and open up new perspectives. For example, in one of my most popular entries, I use the metaphor of the emotional suitcase. Emotions are intangible. We feel them, but we can't hold them. By imagining a suitcase, something that can carry what we hold inside, emotions become tangible. We can then ask, what am I packing today? Is it the doubt spray, the boundary belt, or the hope hoodie? By inviting creativity and even play, we reduce overwhelm and make space for choice. Metaphors also reveal patterns. They allow for multiple interpretations, which lead to greater flexibility, clarity, and growth. So, you may be asking yourself right now, how do I begin? Here are a few metaphor styles you can add to your tool belt. Yes, that's a metaphor in itself. The object metaphor. Choose an object that reflects your current state. For me, it's kintsugi bowl. Once broken, now held together with gold, some pieces are lost, but the larger ones remain intact. This image reminds me that healing can be beautiful, even if imperfect. The journey metaphor. Think of a road map, a trip, a hike, a vacation. I once wrote mapping the next mile, adding road signs like detours, one-way streets, and hazards ahead. The journey metaphor shows us where we are while pointing towards new possibilities. The weather report. Describe emotions as stormy, cloudy, or shifting fronts. This makes feelings lighter, less permanent, and reminds us that storms eventually pass. The garden metaphor. Ask, what kind of soil am I working with? Is it rocky, weedy, rich, or hard? Growth often begins in dark places, but eventually blooms. This metaphor offers a hopeful path for working through challenges. The mirror window metaphor. Use reflection to examine yourself or look through a window to consider how others may see you. This opens space for both self-awareness and perspective taking. Getting started with narrative therapy is simple, and it can be done anywhere at any time. Research on mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, and reflective practices show that creating a dedicated space for journaling or meditation can lower blood pressure and reduce stress. Even if it's just a quiet corner during a busy workday, this act of self-care sets the tone for easing anxiety. Journaling itself has been linked to reduced stress hormones, improved emotional regulation, and lower anxiety. And when we add narrative therapy to the practice, even for just 15 minutes, the benefits grow. James Pennepacker, PhD, found that expressive journaling 1 to 3 times per week for at least 15 minutes improves mental health outcomes by about 20%. So create your space, retreat to a quiet area, and let your inner voice find its way onto the page. Are you ready to give it a try? Let's pause for a quick private reflection with a guided prompt. Imagine the challenge you are facing right now as a suitcase. What's inside that suitcase? Is there anything you can unpack? Would repacking help? Can you leave something behind? Are you carrying items from past experiences that don't belong to your current challenge? Take about 3 to 5 minutes to reflect and write. When you're ready, we'll come back together to continue the program. How did you feel after writing your metaphor? The more you intentionally look for metaphors, the easier the process becomes. Over time, it flows naturally, not only in your writing, but how you see and live your daily life. But to make this a habit, let's take the pressure off. There is no right or wrong way. You are the author. Make it authentically yours. You don't have to share it with anyone. This is your safe space to release feelings and emotions. Revisit past entries if you want, or leave them behind. It's your choice. Here are some practical ways to build the habit. Make list of metaphor starters. Everyday sensory items. Touch, sound, sight, taste, smell can spark vivid descriptions. Invite humor and play. Life isn't heavy every day. Laughter can guide your metaphors too. Notice metaphors in daily activities. After a hike with my special needs cousin, I reflected on the phrase, "We resist what elevates us," inspired by her struggle with the steps and our support. Use quotes as prompts. A favorite line or a saying can be a doorway into metaphorical reflection. Narrative therapy adapts to many needs, from healing to reflection to legacy. It is fluid, creative, and deeply personal. In the realm of mental health, narrative therapy is a tool for working through anxiety, depression, trauma, grief, and more. It's a practice of self-care that costs nothing but time, and you are worth the time. Your voice matters, even if it's written quietly on a page. Begin writing a life that matters to you. Use storytelling to reframe stressors into manageable pieces and to build agency in the face of challenges. And narrative therapy has a beautiful side effect. It creates legacy. Through narrative framing, wisdom is passed down. Identity is honored, not just in the struggles we face, but in the resilience and meaning we carry forward. For those of us who feel trapped in the throes of emotional storms, narrative therapy reminds us that our stories are not fixed. We can choose a new narrative every moment, every day. Neuroscience research shows that our brains are wired with a negativity bias, meaning we naturally focus more on threats, mistakes, and painful experiences than on positive ones. Over time, this bias can train the mind to think negatively by default. The encouraging truth is that the brain can change. Through neuroplasticity, mindful and purposeful practices such as expressive journaling, gratitude writing, or reframing, helping us retrain our thought patterns to emphasize the positive. Even brief, consistent practices have been shown to reduce stress, improve emotional regulation, and strengthen resilience. In essence, while our minds may lean toward negativity, we have the ability to redirect them, cultivating perspectives of growth, agency, and hope. I encourage you to try one metaphor entry this week. Reframe, restore, and write with agency toward a perspective of growth. This is the tool you've been looking for. For more narrative therapy practices, you can explore my book, Ink and Insight, Writing a Life That Matters, available on Amazon. Thank you for joining me today on this journey of metaphor writing through narrative therapy. I hope you've gathered insights that inspire you to put pen to paper and begin shaping your own story. Remember, your voice matters. You matter. When something stands in your path, reframe it through metaphor. What feels heavy can be carried differently. What feels fixed can be seen anew. Narrative therapy reminds us that our stories are living, breathing, and ever-changing. Each word you write is a step towards agency, resilience, and growth. So as you leave today, I invite you to begin writing a life that matters to you. One metaphor, one reflection, one page at a time. Thank you, and be blessed.